At the call of Comrade Lenin, there arose the partisan. Through the winter's cold and famine, from the fields and from the towns, at the call of Comrade Lenin, there arose the partisan. At the call of Comrade Lenin, there arose the partisan.
Our story begins not under Kenya's blazing sun, but in the icy grip of Tsarist Russia, a land where peasants starved, factory workers choked on fumes, and a corrupt aristocracy feasted on their sweat. Here, in this volcano of injustice, a young Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov, later known to the world as Lenin, forged his revolutionary destiny. Born in 1970 in Simbirsk, a town 900 kilometers east of Moscow, Lenin's life was shattered when his brother Alexander was executed for plotting against the Tsar. This brutality seared him into a truth: the ruling class would kill to keep power. Arrested in 1895 for organizing workers, he endured 14 months in prison and 3 years of exile in Siberia's frozen wastelands. Yet, instead of breaking him, it hardened his resolve. Then came 1917. Amid the carnage of World War I, Lenin rallied workers and peasants with a thunderous message, quote unquote, peace, land, and bread. They didn't just overthrow a Tsar, they shattered a 300-year dynasty. Factories were seized by workers, land given to peasants. Why? Because Lenin saw capitalism and imperialism as twin monsters. Capitalism exploited workers at home, while imperialism, the highest stage of capitalism, sent armies abroad to plunder nations like Kenya. Meanwhile, 6,000 kilometers south, British colonialism had sunk its claws into Kenya. Picture this: fertile lands, the so-called White Islands, stolen by white settlers. African families declared quote-unquote squatters on their own ancestral land. Taxes forced men into back-breaking labor on tea plantations, all to enrich banks in London. The colonizers preached quote-unquote civilization, but as revolutionary Frantz Fanon warned, colonialism is violence in its natural state. So you might ask, where's the link? Lenin's concept of imperialism wasn't just a theory, it was Kenya's reality. British railroads weren't built for Kenyans, they hauled stolen crops to ports. Police didn't keep order, they enforced poverty, and just like in Russia, resistance simmered. Enter the Mau Mau. Forget colonial lies calling it quote-unquote tribal savagery. This was a revolt of the landless, the exploited, the desperate. Veterans who'd fought fascism in World War II returned to find their farms stolen. Women forced into squalid slums. Youth with no future. The Mau Mau revolution could not succeed without incredible leaders like Dedan Kimathi, Stanley Mathenge, Warui Itote, among many others. So who was Dedan Kimathi? A former soldier and teacher, Kimathi emerged as the strategic heart of the forest fighters. He wasn't just a warrior, he was a master organizer. In the midst of shrouded Abadia's forests, he built a guerrilla army, administers oaths of unity, not ethnicity, but class solidarity, and issued political manifestos demanding land and freedom. His famous cry, "It's better to die on our feet than live on our knees." Stanley Mathenge, on the other hand, was Kimathi's fierce deputy, combining fighters in the Mount Kenya forest. Warui Itote, aka General China, was a key mobilizer who later wrote critically of the movement's internal struggles. The Mau Mau revolution was class war. Their weapons, pangas, stolen rifles, and much knowledge of the land. Their target, settler farms, symbols of stolen wealth, and colonial collaborators. How about their enemy? The entire imperial system that fed British by starving Kenya. Britain's response? Genocide. Concentration camps, mass hangings, villages burned. Over 1 million Kikuyu herded into barbed wire villages. Why such fury? Because Mau Mau struck capitalism raw nerve, threatens profits. Just like the Tsar sent Cossacks, Britain sent bombers. Kimathi, captured in 1956 and hanged, became a martyr, but the fire elite couldn't be extinguished. By 1963, Kenya was quote-unquote independent, or was it? Jomo Kenyatta, once jailed as Mau Mau's quote-unquote terrorist, walked free and embraced the colonializers' economic blueprint, while settlers sold stolen farms to a new Kenyan elite. Banks, factories, and plantations were still controlled by foreign capital and local compradors. Neocolonialism had arrived. Political flags flying high while economic chains remained. As Kwame Nkrumah warned, quote-unquote, neocolonialism is imperialism's most dangerous stage. Fast forward to today, look at Nairobi. Glittering skyscrapers paid by garment workers earning $1 an hour in export processing zones. Tea pickers breaking their backs for multinationals evicted for flower farms. Matatu drivers working 18-hour days with billionaires' profits. Gen Z is rising against IMF austerity, corrupt dynasties, and police brutality. Not to forget the modern gig economy, which exploits the workers in the global south while the profits stream to the global north. This isn't a coincidence, it's the same system. Capitalism, now wearing designer suits and digital apps, yet still steals labor in the form of the gig economy and slave wages, steals land through forced evictions and corporate grabs, divides workers through manufactured fear and ethnic divisions. But the fight back continues. Nurses striking for dignity, teachers demanding pay, communities blocking bulldozers, Gen Z flooding streets with hashtag Ruto must go. Every protest, every strike, every barricade carries the spirit of Lenin and Kimathi. So what are some of the lessons learned? Lenin proved that capitalism breeds imperialism. The Mau Mau revolution proved that the exploited will rise. Modern Kenya proves that the beast just changed skin. True freedom won't come from voting for new bosses. It comes when workers seize control of the land stolen from our grandparents, of the factories where we create wealth, of the systems that dictate our lives. Kimathi didn't die for a flag, he died for land and liberation. Lenin didn't smash the Tsar to create new oligarchs. Our struggle isn't over, it is evolving. Organize, educate, agitate, join a union, build class solidarity. Study Lenin not to copy but to adapt. Whether in 1917 Petrograd, 1950s Aberdeen's Ranges, or 2024 Nairobi, the revolution is a process and it is our turn. A luta continua, smash capitalism and smash imperialism.
At the call of Comrade Lenin, there arose the partisan. Through the winter's cold and famine, from the fields and from the towns. At the call of Comrade Lenin, there arose the partisan. At the call of Comrade Lenin, there arose the partisan.
भूख सर्दी मौत से लड़कर गाँव और शहर से होकर कॉमरेड लेनिन के आह्वान चले मुक्ति से नादल कॉमरेड लेनिन के आह्वान चले मुक्ति से नाकर भूख सर्दी मौत से लड़कर गाँव और शहर से होकर लेनिन के आह्वान चले मुक्ति से नाकर लेनिन के आह्वान चले मुक्ति से नाकर
They destroyed the white guard forces, and to hell the bandits they hurled, and on Pacific Ocean the workers' flag unfurled, and on Pacific Ocean the workers' flag unfurled.
नरक के द्वार पे भारी दुश्मन के हर दस्ते शान सागर के ऊपर लहराए लाल झंडे शान सागर के ऊपर लहराए लाल झंडे नरक के द्वार पे भारी दुश्मन के हर दस्ते शान सागर के ऊपर लहराए लाल झंडे शान